He joins the Octagon Brave Combat Federation Flyweight Jose Shorty Torres, who's also a former UFC Flyweight and Titan FC double champion in the Flyweight and Bantamweight divisions. Welcome on, Shorty.
Well, I appreciate having me on, and it's crazy. I'm actually, if you see me sweating, the AC is broken in Dean's house, the firm, so it might, it might get a little crazy in here.
Of course, leave it to Dean Thomas to leave his athletes without air conditioning, right? Way to go, Coach Dean.
He's so rude. No, it's crazy because, Florida's so hot. It's even right now, it's like 90 degrees outside, which I just did a run outside with my sauna top. It's the worst decision in the world unless you're cutting weight like I am now. And, man, it's so hot. And then you come to the house, you're like, yeah, it's going to be full of AC. Nope. If you see behind me, I literally have one fan on this side and one fan. Oh, where'd you go? And one fan on that side. So it's like, it's just crazy in here, Florida, because it's so humid. It feels like literally on the weathercast, like 106 outside.
I'm in Tampa, Florida, so
yeah, you completely understand then.
I completely understand. It is hot as it can be out here. All right, so let's talk some fights. You're going up against Sean Shorty Rock Santella. That's this coming Thursday, September 24th at Brave 42 in the Kingdom of Bahrain. So first of all, elephant in the room. Who had the nickname Shorty first?
Oh, well, him for sure. He was born in the 80s. I think the Shorty Rock part definitely, symbolizes that he is the 80s baby. It reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, was like Bebop and Rocksteady, So for me being Shorty, my father's nickname was Shorty. So this is the battle of the Shorties. I got it second to my father. I don't know how he has his. His is a little different with the pink mohawk again, 80s versus 90s baby. But, it is the battle of the Shorties, and it's a long time coming. Him and I have trained together. We've talked and tried to help each other get fights as well. Because all the flyweights definitely have to stick together, especially with the whole UFC demise and the whole confusion. It's crazy stuff out there for us. But it is a long time coming. I thought I was going to fight him in Titan. I thought I was going to fight him possibly entering the UFC. And now, years later, after training with him, now it's fighting in Brave CF.
Well, we're looking forward to that. And Sean Santella has over 30 pro MMA fights. So with him having that type of experience, kind of almost like triple the pro fights you have, how does that play into your approach to this specific fight?
Yeah, man, for me, when it comes to, the age, I definitely have the advantage. I'm 28. I believe he's 36. But him having 20 plus more fights in me, given I had an extensive amateur career, 25-1, two-time world champ, and wrestling and kickboxing, Pan American, all that stuff. And it's great, but it's, again, not the pro level. You see some of his losses, which there's a lot of wins that he has that he should have not have beaten these guys, but somehow, some way, his veteran skills, his determination always pushes through, and that's what makes him such a challenging opponent. Again, some of the guys that he's lost against, I believe one of them notably is Aljamain Sterling, and I believe he went the distance with him. Not many people do that. Look at what Aljamain Sterling did to Corey Sandhagen, and Sandhagen's an animal in practice in the cage and all that stuff. So, Sean Santella, even while going with him, and I'm not going to state what happened in practice, but he's one of those guys that if he gets a certain position and he knows what to do, he's good. Like he is 100. He knows what to do as a veteran to win a fight. And that's the scary thing about this battle is that I have to be ready for anything.
That's interesting. We're going to jump around for a little bit here for the course of the next few minutes on the interview, but we will circle back to the Battle of the Shorties. We'll get a little more insight on the fight, the matchup. But let's talk about the promotion itself a little bit, more unique than fighting stateside. So tell us a little bit about what it's like fighting in Bahrain, in the Kingdom of Bahrain, compared to fighting stateside or, maybe in Canada or something like that that's more domestic. What's it like over there?
Honestly, it is a different culture, but it really is the same. A fight is a fight. It doesn't matter if it's going to be here, Abu Dhabi, Canada, Brazil, whatever the case may be. And I follow around the world. The same thing is pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is trying to figure out what restaurants to go to, trying to figure out what grocery stores to go to, trying to figure out the languages and stuff like that. But nothing really is different. It's a bunch of fans that love to be there, that love you for fighting in their country. And it's just an honor for me to put on a show. And the Kingdom of Bahrain is like a second home to me. I've been there since, I believe, 2015 after my second world championship as an amateur. So this will probably be my 7th time back there. My first time actually fighting, I was supposed to fight in November. And, sadly, with my father's passing, just mentally I wasn't stable enough. But, with a year and 4 months now since my last fight, I'm more than prepared. But the Kingdom of Bahrain is really, really taking care of me. And just the way they're handling COVID and the way they're handling pretty much everything. They just had an event right now. Their main event just finished, which I was just screaming like, I was like, Muhammad Faghri, like crazy. And they're like, okay, cool. I got this interview I got to do. But man, Brave is really taking care of me and all those guys out there. I think playing in the Middle East, it is a different culture, but respectable nonetheless.
Absolutely. Maybe I could just to put you on the spot a little bit, and
Yeah.
if it works out, I'll be able to maybe talk back because I know some. Did you learn any Arabic over there? Can you speak any if you were to come to my school in Bahrain?
Not when it comes to actual sentences. You know, I do know the typical, I guess, Muslim Arabic, you know, assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, inshallah, God willing, all that stuff. So, and now I have Jillian Robertson staring at me doing hand gestures behind the camera. So that's always good stuff. Hello, nice to see you. So, you know, it's, for me, the only difference about going overseas compared to Canada is it's a 9-hour difference, 7 to 9 hour difference. That's, you know, I'm losing technically a day of travel. You know, like for example, tomorrow I fly out to the Kingdom of Bahrain and it's 18-hour flight, but then I'm also going ahead of time, I believe 7 hours. So it does become a little bit of a struggle. I lose a day when it comes to the weight cut, and I do hold water on the plane, but regardless, everything else is the same. And yeah, I do love it out there.
And expanding on that same subject, what do you feel like it took to earn the respect of what we could call the royal family or of the Kingdom of Bahrain, which I guess you could say is a special place to be, is a special place as an athlete to be accepted like that and to be treated the way that they do treat you so well. What do you feel like it took to earn that respect and to create the longevity you've had with them there at KHK?
You know, it's crazy because, you know, being an American, especially a Latino from Chicago, from Cicero, Berwyn, you don't really get out of the city, nevertheless the state. So when I started traveling, it was solely because of fighting. And then when I went to Vegas to win Worlds the second time, Bahrain was a new country that came in that, you know, I'm not military. So unless you're military or really geographically sound, I'm not really paying attention. Let me close this door real quick. So, you know, it was a crazy thing that I didn't know what Bahrain was. So when I won the second world championship, I get a call from, you know, a very strong accent Arabic guy saying like, hey, we want you to fly out to Kingdom of Bahrain. The prince wants to meet you. He wants you on his team. And I'm like, all right, this just sounds like a marketing call. You know, like, what the hell is this? And they're like, give me your passport number and we'll figure it out. I'm like, yeah, no, click. And, you know, because it just sounds like a telemarketing call. And then they called me again. They're like, no, seriously, this is a real thing. And I'm like, sure, I'll try. And out of nowhere, I'm on a plane to the Kingdom of Bahrain with my coach, Master Bob Sherman. I'm with the likes of James Gallagher, Franz Malambo, Frankie Edgar, Henzo, Eldar Eldarov, Alejandro Soto, Khabib, Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, you know, Marat Magomedov, you know, all those Dagestani guys, Dagestani Eagles. And I got to train with all of them. And the crazy thing was when I was training there, I'm enjoying the process. Like I've never, ever thought I'd be in the Middle East. And little I know, I'm training with Alejandro Soto, a UFC veteran. And then later on the day, they're like, Khabib's like, hey, I want to keep on practicing. Who wants to practice with me? I'm just like, I'll do it. And I'm practicing with Khabib. And then I'm taking down Khabib. Khabib's taking me down. We're having fun. Obviously, he's letting me because at the time he was weighing like 190. And we're having a lot of fun. And Lex McMahon, my manager now, who is also the Titan FC promoter, he's just like, who the hell is this kid? Like, I know nothing about him. I know nothing about the IMF in the world at the time. And then he saw me go with Khabib. He's like, hey, do you want a 4-fight contract? So honestly, the Kingdom of Bahrain is it's called the Pearl of the Desert, you know, because it's so small, but it's so rich in literally many ways. And for me, when I went there, I got pretty much sponsored by the Prince of Bahrain, KHK MMA, got to be a part of a great team, got to train with Khabib, Frankie Edgar, Henzo, all these phenomenal guys, and then got to meet Lex McMahon and get signed to Titan. So there were so many things with that. And being part of KHK was amazing. And now being part of Brave, it was just kind of like a slow, inevitable transition of what was to come.
Really cool. Before we switch gears, you know, what are the main takeaways? You've worked under the UFC banner and then now with Brave, in a very proud part of Brave now. So what are the main differences working under the two banners, both of them being high-level organizations?
For me, honestly, it's the respect. You know, I wasn't able to talk to Mick Maynard. I wasn't able to talk to Sean Shelby, Dana White. And part of Brave, I can talk to anyone I want. I can literally reach out to anyone. I have their, you know, contact information. I can email, I can call, I can WhatsApp, I can do whatever. If I have a problem, I can personally do it instead of having to contact my manager or somebody else. And now I'm just waiting at the other end, going through a middleman to talk to somebody that I really want to talk to. So for me, it comes to respect, especially when my father passed away. Dude, I ended up passing on the main event of the biggest card in Asia's history. My banner, literally my face and my body, being the shorty that I am, was on the tallest building in Bahrain from the top floor all the way to the bottom floor. Like, that's how big I was. And then I pulled out 2 days before the fight because I just mentally was not there. I had a crazy panic attack. And I'm just like, I can't do this. And Brave the next day is like, it sucks. It really does. But it's okay. Like, your father passed. Like, you don't know how to handle grieving. You're going through something that we can't understand at this point. So just do what you need to do. And they've been following me ever since, and just making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I get what I need, and making sure that everything is okay leading up to this fight. And so far, man, I'm better than 100%. I'm really, really excited for this one. Brave, when it comes to the difference of the UFC, is it's a promotion ran by fighters. So it's fighters understanding what fighters really go through, and I think that's the best thing about it.
Well put. His name's Shorty Torres. We're going to take a quick break, but we're halfway through with the interview. We'll pick it up with Shorty Torres, who steps into the cage at Brave 42 with Sean Shorty Rock Santella, September 24. Stick around. We'll be right back. Before the break, we talked about the fight. We'll talk a little more about the fight before you exit the interview. But I want to talk a little bit about some big picture stuff, some stuff that you're well involved in. I'd like to get your take on. I'd like to get your stance and your perspective on the entire experience. So recently, your coach, Dean Thomas, who's a great friend of our show here at the Octagram, very generous coach, might I say, he recently departed from American Top Team Coconut Creek. What was the transition like for you being there, well involved with that entire situation?
Honestly, it was a lot easier than what people would think. You have, and this is nothing bad against ATT. ATT has phenomenal athletes, literally the most amount of professional athletes in the gym all at once. Like, there's a reason why they have so many champions. They are amazing. The only problem is you have 10 amazing coaches, which again, all of them are phenomenal, but with 100 athletes plus, you only have so much time, especially when you have the likes of Poirier, Masvidal, Joanna, Nunes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on when it comes to rankings. So when you're stuck in the middle, it's like, damn, unless you have all this hype, you're not really getting that much attention. And looking at Dean and him focusing on Jillian and myself and some of the other groups that were there, he really focused on more of the outcasts, the people that never really got the attention. So we all kind of really, thrived because of him. And when he started to leave, I was like, damn, no offense. I'm about to be 28 at the time, and I'm entering the prime of my career. I know how tough I am. I've been at some of the best gyms in the world, Jackson Wing, Training Lab, Dwayne Ludwig's, Rufus Sport, Mark Henry's, the list goes on and on and on. But for me, I was like, I need someone now to literally hold my hand, to tell me what to do, to be like, you're phenomenal. I know how tough you are, but these are the little things that are going to make you better. These are the little things that are going to take you to the next level. And that's where I wanted to be. And Dean at the time was really, really helping me out. I was like, Dean, I'm yours. I know you don't have to do what you do, so I'm going to follow you. And he ended up leaving to Port St Lucie, where he's from. And at the time, COVID was real big with American Top Team. So they're like, hey, you can't go to other gyms and travel back because we don't want COVID coming through. And then they're also very personal. It's like, hey, only the ATT banner. But I did talk to Dan Lambert. I talked to everyone there, and they're like, hey, yeah, we love Dean. Like, we have nothing against him. As long as he doesn't join another gym or like a competitor gym against us, we're perfectly fine. So you can train simultaneously. And at the time I was doing that, and then I don't know, I received a call. They're like, you know what, man, you either choose ATT or Dean. I was like, I'm going to choose Dean. There's no hesitation. I love the dorms. I love everything American Top Team is giving to me. I miss everyone there. I have some phenomenal friends and really a family there, but I have a bigger family with Dean Thomas, and I have a stronger connection with him. And that's the guy I knew I was going to grow with. And honestly, during this quarantine, I've actually learned more in my time with Dean than I've learned in all my years of training at multiple gyms, not just American Top Team, but all these gyms together, because I finally have someone to really work with me one-on-one everywhere I go. Like, we just came back from St. Louis working with Tyron Woodley, getting him ready for his fight, and he was simultaneously coaching Tyron. Then after that, working with Jillian and myself, and literally one-on-one getting me ready for this fight. So, man, it was a lot easier than what people expect.
It's interesting. Lastly, with that specific question, if I can just expand on it.
Yeah.
With everything that you said, as stacked as American Top Team is, all of the champions that come from there, you sort of already answered the question, but maybe expand a little bit. What was truly the tipping point for deciding to walk away from such a large gym with so much success. And I wouldn't say taking a risk on Dean, because Dean Thomas is not a risk. He's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal former UFC fighter. It's not a risk, but it's hard for a lot of people to walk away from such a large brand like that. What was really the tipping point for you?
For me, man, I didn't grow up at American Top Team. I didn't grow up with all these things around me. I grew up in a gym that, Combat Dough, that was literally, the building was like 150 years old. It looked like a Rocky type gym where it's brick layered, all that stuff, and you only have so many bodies. And my coach, Master Bob Shermer, where I'm literally working one-on-one with him, we didn't have the bodies. We would go gym to gym or invite people in and do all these things. So by the time I started getting a little more popular, going to Jackson Wink, going to Training Lab, and eventually going to, Rufus Ford and American Top Team, I felt too privileged, if that makes any sense. Like I like coming from an underdog story, but when you go to a 40,000 square foot gym, it's beautiful, but you have things handed to you. I like coming up from the ground up and really trying to grow and blossom with the way I'm doing with Dean. And when he left, I was like, man, you're the only person that really had benefiting me here. Yeah, I can work with Juan Porta, Jamie Alvarez, Pedro Munoz, Barral, all these phenomenal athletes, but I'm only going to get so much better with their help. I need someone to tell me what to do. And Dean is easily, through experience as well, from my personal experience with him and his own in the cage and his, professionalism with Tyron Woodley, Jillian, all these people, I've seen he's extremely credible, and working with them one-on-one, I've learned a lot. So when they were like, here, you have to choose, I was like, I can either take all this stuff, but only move so much in my career, or go with this one guy that I know is going to be a struggle when it comes to finding bodies, but it's not the bodies. Look at DJ. DJ's never gone to a different gym. Demetrius Johnson, he literally stayed with his one coach, worked with him one-on-one, and invited people in. And that's pretty much what Dean and I are doing. You don't hear success stories of this guy and the team. You hear a success story of Mike Tyson, Custy Amato, Rocky and Mickey, stuff like that. So for me, I got my guy Dean Thomas.
Sure. And well put. I really like how you put that. I'm glad I asked that question. Before I move on, I just want to really offer my belated condolences for the loss of your father last year. Yeah. I've read up on you. I've done some watching on you a little bit the last week or so. I noticed that one thing that really stood out to me is that you mentioned that your dad would always put your fighting career before everything, even sometimes actual family matters. How important is that for you today to keep that close to drive you, knowing how important it was for your own father?
It's crazy because I never liked fighting. Even still today, I'm not a fan of fighting. I don't like hurting people. If people know anything about like Dragon Ball Z, because I'm a huge anime fan and Dragon Ball Z fan, I am Team Gohan. I don't like fighting. I have potential and I know I'm very good at it, but I've only used it because I needed to. I wanted to do two things in my life, was accomplish my goals and accomplish my family's. My father always wanted to be a fighter, just never had the opportunity. So by the time I started actually getting success in the sport, I was like, wow, I can actually really do this. My mom wanted me to get a college degree. I did that. I became smart. I did a lot of things to show that I made her proud and made my father proud. But at the same time, my ultimate goal was to be a hero and inspire people and just keep on promoting peace and just positivity. And for me, every time I won a fight, even just stepped in a cage, people are like, damn, Shorty's really doing it. What am I doing? Like, I'm going to get up and try to do whatever I want to do too. Like I always say, besides the nickname Shorty, I am another Shorty trying to come up out of the neighborhood. So what my father nicknamed Shorty G, my full nickname being Lil Shorty G, but just Shorty for easy purposes. It's doing so many different legacies all at once. It's continuing my father's legacy of being the fighter that I know he would have been a phenomenal fighter at professional wise. And, for me, trying to be a hero. So I fight every day to try to inspire people and try to show that if I'm still trying, as long as I'm trying, man, I'm a lot farther than where I originally started. That's all that matters.
That's great. Seeing as your father was your biggest motivator in your life, two-part question. Is he still the biggest motivator in your life, although circumstances are different? Or, and I don't want to be unfair to any people around you, especially your coaches, because it's a little bit heavy to put this on their plate, but do you ever find yourself maybe looking for someone to fill those shoes of obviously not of a father, but of that biggest motivator for your career?
For me, it's crazy. So like after my father passed away, my father was a goon in a gang. He was always tough love. He beat us up whether we were in his way or he was teaching us how to fight, So it was one of those things that we didn't know softness. We didn't know kindness, I was just naturally kind-hearted when it came to certain circumstances. So when he passed away, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to keep on fighting. I don't know what else to do. That's what my father would want me to do. And by the time I got to Bahrain, all the emotions started to flood. All the emotions started to take over my body. And eventually I had panic attacks. And I've never had those before. People who know about panic attacks or even anxiety attacks, dude, you feel like you're going to die. So I had to go home. I had to read books, see psychiatrists, do a lot of things. And my father has and will always still be one of my biggest motivators, but I do still have the rest of my family, my mother, my brother, my team, my coaches. And throughout this crazy quarantine experience and my father passing, all the emotions throughout all this, it's really helped me create a small but more positive circle to not spreading myself too thin. Like right now, I'm really, really focusing on myself, but I'm doing little things to keep me motivated. I wear my father's chain and ring with me everywhere I go. I'm actually going to get a mani-pedi right after this. My father's gang colors are black and purple. So it's just like little things that help me stay motivated. Like right now, I'm 7 days out to my fight. I am now technically cutting weight. Anytime I'm running and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. And I look down and I see purple on my hand. It just reminds me, it's a little sign of peace and tranquility of like, he's watching me. I have to keep on pushing forward. So it's just the little things, even though he might be gone, he's never gone in my heart. And that's the amazing thing that continues on with legacies.
Thank you. So switching gears, your teammate and former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley is gearing up for a very high-profile fight with right-wing darling, if you will, and UFC welterweight Colby Covington. What is it like to not only prepare for the biggest fight of your career, but to be a part of helping Tyron prepare for, a huge fight in such a high-stake fight in his career?
It's crazy because this is the second time I've been around him. The first one was at Rufus-Sport when he was getting ready for Kamaru Usman. And this one, just the environment was so different, so much more positive. I saw Tyron working so much harder, not spreading himself too thin when it comes to music, family, all that stuff. Like, yes, he still, is occupied by those certain things, but he's really being selfish to a positive extent to where he's focusing on himself. This fight, he's taking it personal, especially with Colby, all this stuff and black, white right now. Like Tyron is really taking this personal. And, we never fully worked together for this camp. Nevertheless, even the last one, but we did have conversations and just the little things, he would tell us, he's like, man, I see you and Jillian working out. And it's like, man, I remember being the youngin' trying to come up because he is older in his career. He is towards the end of his career, but he's still pushing out strong. So it's like, that flame gets a little burnt out. So seeing younger people or people who are just as motivated, he's like, man, I remember those days. Cool, I'm ready for my practice. And he gets motivated. And then we see him pushing. He would go to sparring and literally a gigantic jack guy would come in with weights. He's like, all right, cool. You just finished sparring. We're going to do some cardio and some strength and conditioning. And I'm just like, damn, Tyron, like, good luck. And he would just push. And it's like, man, it's awesome seeing the champion at his age and just pushing and trying to be the role model for his people, his family. And he's kind of like, not when it comes to the money part where he's losing it, but he's like MC Hammer, man. That's all he wants to do is help his family, where he's literally spreading himself thin, giving his money and just going, I don't care if this hurts me. I want to help everyone, as many people as I can. He helped Jillian, myself, and Dean so much while we were there. We got to stay at his gym. I got to learn from him, motivating factors. I got to hear even some of the mental aspect behind the scenes stuff. And, I plan to be as successful as he has been. And for a man who's been through literally every ups and downs in this sport, it's exciting to learn from him. And I'm excited to see his fight this weekend.
I can't wait. I'm sure you've received so much different pieces of advice, just the tiny little comments here and there when you're working out with Tyron, but just offer us, if you can, just one piece of advice that you can share with us that Tyron's given to you as an athlete.
I think this one right now is it's very personal, but in a positive way. It's, for example, with the Kamaru Usman fight, Tyron just wasn't there. And even when I lost against Alex Perez, like, I just wasn't there, and I knew that experience. Tyron came up to me one day, instead of just saying like, hey man, how you doing? He goes, hey, you still having fun in this? And I'm like, damn, that's a really deep question. I was like, because I've been through a lot, obviously. And I was just like, I don't know if you understand. He goes, Shorty, I only asked that question because I understand. I know the ups and downs in this sport. I know about training your ass off and then, training, and then out of nowhere you lose, or you just don't show up, or, there's these mental aspects. He goes, my last camp, I spread myself too thin. Now I'm trying to make a smaller circle. And honestly, I took that advice personally. I was like, you know what? I need to make a smaller circle. Whatever negativity I have to go through, let me go through it after this fight. If I have to push it off until after this fight, then I have to do so. Yeah, some of them priorities, and let's get them done first. But let's not procrastinate certain things. And making my circle real small and more positive and really trying to focus on me for this fight has been a really, really big game changer mentally. I feel so much more prepared than for pretty much anything to come, in front of my way.
Maybe a little bit unfair to you, but when Tyron's in the cage on Saturday with Colby, as someone who helping him with something that is sort of personal, would you feel like a small part of you is in there on Saturday when he's fighting it out?
No, because Tyron is Tyron. He does his own thing. He's very personal. The only time he talks to us, because he's a very, very quiet guy. Like if you're in a circle, you're in a circle, and I'm literally at the outer edge of that circle. Like it's because I work with Dean, and I've known Tyron since 2015. But it's always been very, hey, what's up, man? How you been? Cool. Can't wait to your next fight. Oh, cool. Picture. And that was, it's very, very small. So hearing him really open up and be a little more personal this time is awesome, especially for me, because I like people to feel comfortable around me to do stuff like that, just to vent, because mental health is extremely important, especially with all the stuff I'm going through. I'm starting to really realize that. But Tyron, he just, those little motivating things, he does care about us, and he knows that we care about him too. We appreciate everything he's done, and we're excited to see him fight. Emotionally, I'm definitely going to be attached to this fight because he helped me so much throughout this camp. But when he fights, he's doing this for him. I don't think he's doing this for anyone else. This one is definitely 100% his type of fight. He might have his parents or his family or people in the background, but this is for him and his legacy.
Very fair. I can appreciate that. We're running out of time here, but I have a couple that I'd like to get through here. Coach Dean Thomas, he's also been a very big beacon of support during your return to the cage. Mm-hmm. Talk about how Coach Dean has been there for you beyond the normal scope of just a normal mixed martial arts coach.
Dean is one of the biggest things. Dean is a hard coach to work with because he's very quiet and he's not Mr. Positive. He's not going to blow, smoke anywhere. He's not going to be like, oh, you're looking amazing. No, you're always awesome. He's going to dude, you had a really bad day. Like, what's wrong? He's going to talk to you. He's going to figure things out, and he's straight to the point. He's not afraid to hurt your feelings, and I think that's what you need in a coach. Again, when you watch Tyson Customato, when you watch Rocky and Mickey in the movies, like they're very straightforward, straight to the point. So what they're thinking. That they're not going to just tell you random BS. They're going to be like, hey man, you look bad today. Maybe you should stop doing that. Or you look phenomenal. Maybe you should start doing this. Like Dean doesn't compliment. He's kind of almost like a drill sergeant. He's very quiet, but anytime he does say something nice, you're like, oh my God, Dad complimented us. So it's like this is amazing. So to have him there and finally get that positive reinforcement, but actually working for that and earning it is a phenomenal thing.
That's great. And your next fight is coming up. It's on Thursday, September 24th, just about 6 days from the airing of this episode. You're going up against Sean Shorty Roxantella in the Battle of the Shorties. He's had the name longer, but that does not mean you can't settle the score on Thursday. And that goes down in the Kingdom of Bahrain. It kicks off the Flyweight Championship Tournament, if I have my stuff straight here. Let me ask you a question about that exactly. Does it feel like the number 1 and number 2 seeds are fighting in the first round of the tournament, you and Santella being facing off right off the bat?
I don't see us being number 1 or number 2. I don't even see myself being number 2 or number 1. I think it'd be probably Dustin Ortiz or Zach Mikowski. I know I am ranked, I think, a little bit above Zach Mikowski when it comes to the worldwide rankings, but Dustin Ortiz was number 3 by the time he was released from UFC, and he lost to Joseph Benavidez, which after that fight, I believe was a title contender shot. So, it's one of those things that the rankings are everywhere right now, but it's all guys in the top 30 from around the world. 8-man tournament, 3 fights to win, and I got to look at it one fight at a time. Either way, it's a battle of the shorties, and I'm excited for it. He's a tough opponent. It's one of those things that it's not for the nickname, but it's definitely for the rights for that night.
Absolutely. And you have to forgive me, right? I'm still learning a little bit about Brave, and I can appreciate you for helping me learn as we go. But it does go down on Thursday, September 24th. I encourage everyone to check it out. Just Google Brave Federation. Brave Combat Federation. You'll find all the information.
Yeah, it'll be all on Fight for the States at least. It'll be on Fight TV, FITE.te. I believe it's about $15 for the event. You could always rewatch it. And then also, if people follow my Instagram, Jose Shorty Torres, I will be putting out a flyer that has all the information for wherever country you are from, how to watch it.
There it is, Jose Shorty Torres on Instagram and Shorty Torres MMA on Twitter. Last one here. While you're having success in Brave in all aspects of your career, apparently even including fighter pay, things looking really nice for you right now, does that in any way play a role into a return to the UFC for you in the long term of things for you?
Not at all. I'm not at all looking forward to the UFC. I'm not looking towards the UFC. The UFC extremely disrespected me during my time. If they ever did call back after my Brave contract is up, we would have to have a very long discussion to see what is going to be different by the time I go in there, because we see even the higher ups, Masvidal, Poirier, having money disputes and even more with that. So if the higher ups are having problems, what's a little flyweight going to do? So right now, I had accolades that were never, ever, represented in the UFC until I got there, and they extremely belittled it with 9-day notice and 20-day notice. So I'm not at all looking forward to the UFC. I'm 100% focused on Brave and a future with them.
I was hoping you'd say that. His name's Shorty Torres. Thank you for joining me, Shorty. We look forward to your fight on the 24th of September at Brave 42.
Thank you, man.